Right, yeah, hi, I'm Akiva. I am almost 19 at this stage in time. I have less than a month on my birthday, yes, so technically I'm 18. I get nervous in front of cameras.
Hi, I'm Soph, I'm 20 years old, I'm from Enfield and I work as a sales associate in Orange Theory Fitness.
Hi, my name's Yazzie and I'm 20 years old. I'm currently looking for a job with animals, either in kennels or in a vet's practice or something like that, just because I love animals.
I'm Lucy, I'm an 18-year-old girl from London, and that's about it.
Hi, my name is Megan. I'm 18 years old and I'm a support worker for adults with learning disabilities and mental health problems.
So I didn't really know what a psychiatric ward was. I'd been in therapy and stuff, and I didn't really have any friends that were in therapy or had had counselling or had been to hospital for anything like that, so I didn't really know. And then when I got told that I might have to go into a psychiatric hospital, I remember kind of panicking and Googling it, and I thought it was going to be like what you see in horror films, and I was going to be locked in this room and strapped up to a straight jacket, and I was not going to be allowed out, and there was going to be bars on the windows, and I started to really panic. And it was around the time this documentary came out on BBC called Don't Call Me Crazy, and I remember seeing one episode and thinking, oh, that's probably what it's more like. And then so I wasn't so scared anymore, but I just remember thinking I don't want to be there, and it still looks pretty scary, and I just didn't know what to expect. So yeah, it wasn't until I actually got there that I kind of realised what it was like.
I was first introduced to the mental health services in year 4 or 5, can't remember exactly. I had been very badly bullied at school. My parents started noticing random behaviours and took me to a psychiatrist. They weren't really a psychiatrist, they were more of a failed therapist at the CAMS. I spent, a year and a half going there at that point and got the sum total of nothing out of it, except a good hour wasted every single week. I then moved on to a private therapist at that point, because my parents had had enough of not getting any results, and within 5 weeks they worked out, oh wow, this guy's being bullied, and he's still being bullied, and it's driving him crazy. We should probably get him away from these bullies. And so they did. And then for the next 2 and a bit years I was mainly out of mental health services. I went back in at the end of January, when I was in year 10. I tried to kill myself with a knife. It was a really crappy attempt, I've got to be honest. It's that whole thing about learning about reflexes the next day. And so I then went back to see another therapist, who was kind of useless, and that was my introduction. It only got better from there.
First got referred to CAMS when I was 13, and I left CAMS when I was 18. I've had one adult hospital admission, however I haven't been in the community and had any input from them in the community. So the hospital that I had my first admission to, I had 2 other admissions to, so 3 in total. And then towards the end, when I was 17, almost turning 18, I needed to be admitted. However, there was no beds in London, or almost even England. I was going to be sent to Scotland. That was on the cards. However, there was a bed in Birmingham, and I was sectioned and I was sent there with no choice. So I spent a total of 1 month there. My mum actually took me off my section because she believed that I was a lot better, and I left there. And in fact, I feel like I was getting better there. With the other hospital, I feel like I was just deteriorating. Whereas with this hospital, I feel like they were doing something about my diagnosis. That was the one that I actually got the diagnosis of borderline personality disorder.
So I was first admitted into a psych ward when I was 16. I just newly turned 16, and for me, I literally just didn't know where I was going. I just got shoved into a taxi at 3 in the morning. Next thing you know, I wake up, I'm in a weird room and I'm crying because I just don't know where I am, because of course I was really scared. A woman comes into my room, she was like, how are you? And I'm just like, who are you? And she was just like, my name is so and so and you're in the new beginnings. And I was like, what is new beginnings and where am I? She's like, you are in a psych ward. That's when I literally just lost control and I just bursted out crying.
I was admitted to a psychiatric unit at the end of year 10. In the school I was doing, we did GCSEs a year early. That was kind of what one might call a stressful period, what with doing exams and the rest of your life basically hang on for most people. And at the end of that, I tried overdosing. I called one of my friends to say goodbye to them. I decided, you know what, screw my parents, I'm just going to call this one guy. And he basically said, stay where you are, I'm coming to get you. He then phoned my parents, who picked me up from his place. I went to the hospital, where they checked me out. I was there for 3 days. This was a regular hospital at Barnet. I was there for 3 days, they just charged me. So that was Monday through to Thursday, and by Saturday I was back in with another overdose attempt. And at the end of this one, my parents basically said to them, you know, you have doctors here all the time and you have nurses here, and in fact you have a specialised psychiatric nurse with you because of him. Can we take the psychiatric nurse home with us because we can't cope with him? The doctors laughed and said, no, we don't do that. So my parents said, well, you better come up with another alternative. So I was referred to Barnet Adolescent Service, and met a person called Dr. Kathy Wainhouse and got referred back to the Beacon Centre from there.
But I didn't know that, so like just one morning all these like professionals turned up to my room to like assess me, and also like police and stuff, and it was so awful. I was so overwhelmed, and they just like, I didn't even like get to talk or like say anything. They just like straight away admitted me to a hospital, which was Huntercombe, and so I was brought there, and I was first placed on section 2, I think. So that was a 1 month thing to see whether I needed to be placed on a section 3.
So I was first admitted when I was 15. I stayed in a general hospital in the paediatric ward for a week before I was admitted. When I first got there, I was really anxious. I was crying and I kind of held on to my mum and didn't want her to leave me. But when I got there, I saw someone who I actually knew, and I saw a familiar face, and he made me feel so much more comfortable. And by the end of the night, everyone was so lovely to me. All the girls were lovely and all the patients were nice to me, and it became like home really.
So the way I got admitted to hospital was that I took an overdose of paracetamol, ibuprofen and other medications. As well as that, I took quite a lot of alcohol with it. I got sent to hospital straight away. I mean, aside from that, I've never done anything like that. This was just a complete impulse. Next thing you know, I was in Chase Farm Hospital for about 8 hours before they said to me that you're not safe and we need to send you somewhere. Of course, I was really drowsy from all the medication, so I didn't understand what they were saying and what was going on. We had a massive conversation about why I did what I did. I did tell them partly why I did it, but I was just so afraid. So when I got to hospital, I couldn't talk about what was going on for me.
It was really awful when I was first admitted, for both admissions, but for the second one, like, it was just the worst case scenario for me in the entire world, because Like my issue was that I literally couldn't deal with like any form of social situation or being around people, and I was suddenly placed into this really communal place with so many other like strangers that I didn't even know, and it was the most stressful thing ever. I think I like cried just the entire time, and I just wanted to like disappear, but that obviously wasn't gonna happen.
The first few days at the Beacon Centre were what I would describe as fun, in the sarcastic and sense of the word here. They would have this like last meeting between all the patients and the staff on call just to see how we were. And I looked at the nurse in charge and I said, "How the hell do you think I'm feeling?" "I'm feeling shit, thank you very much. I've ended up in a psychiatric unit."
So I remember in the beginning, obviously, I didn't know anyone, and there were people that had already kind of made friendship groups and they were really close, and I didn't feel like I could kind of integrate into that. So I kind of just kept to myself in the beginning.
When I first arrived, I thought everyone seemed pretty normal. I'd never seen anyone kick off, in a sense, but that soon changed really quickly. By the evening of my first admission, I'd seen someone kick off. And by kick off, I mean kicking a door, lashing out, crying, and I feel like the evening and the night time was the hardest time for most patients, so that's usually when you'd see people's like mental health get worse and their moods drop.
Your day would more or less consist of either going to school if you're up for it, you'd have your set meal times, you'd have different therapies, so we done art therapy. I had my individual music therapy, which was really fun because I used to like play the drums really loudly. I think the staff used to get really irritated with me though. Other than that, we'll have like meetings with our psychiatrists, our doctors, but also we'll have time with, you know, with the other patients, just to have fun, you know, just to be a normal teenager in any day life.
I met like some amazing people in hospital. They made such an awful time in my life. They made it have like some okay bits and made it as good as it possibly could have considering the situation. Everyone was so supportive, even though we were all going through something different. Like we were all trying to be as understanding as possible, and they just mean so much to me. Like I lived with some of these girls for like 10 months of my life, so it was such an important period as well.
Kind of the majority of people or friends that I met in there, it's sad to say, but I think they got worse, because I met them in there and they were obviously in a bad place at the time, but kind of similar to me, they'd see things going on and they'd get influenced and they'd be comparing themselves, and then they'd get ideas for things they wouldn't have thought of before, and they become like quite institutionalised, so they get used to hospital. And I'd have friends who would go home on leave and they'd talk about going home as in coming back to the hospital as home, which was obviously unhealthy, and they'd have better relationships with the nurses than their own family and friends, and it became more comfortable to be in hospital and more safe. Which is good to an extent, like obviously like it helps with recovery and stuff to be comfortable where you are, but I think, yeah, it was dangerous to the point where they became like attached to the hospital and the people and stuff. And the majority, like we're all kind of out now, we're all been discharged and stuff, we're moving on with our lives, but I mean in the past 3-4 years, like as awful as it is, we've lost like 4 people have killed themselves from people that we've met in hospital, which is like shocking to think that we saw them in a bad place and then they got discharged and seemingly carried on with their lives, and they ended up in the worst, obviously, place possible, like killing themselves, which obviously isn't like a direct result of the hospital, but it could be seen that, you know, they got worse and it didn't help them to be in that setting.
like 2 weeks after me the first time and got discharged a week after me the first time. And then on my second admittance, she came back, 2 days later and was discharged on the same day as me. And it was at that point when she got admitted, she basically just ran up to me, gave me a giant hug, and screamed at the top of her lungs, "We are Beacon Buddies!" Which was really funny at the time. Still really funny. But now, sadly, what with her being dead and all of that, I'm really not good at doing emotions, so some of the stuff might come across as a bit straight up and a bit forceful. So stuff like with her just being dead and all of that. Kind of feeling sad about that. It was like, it's like that thing everybody does where they post on the RIP status on Facebook. And so I brought that up again and put RIP my beacon buddy, Sophia. And I miss her. And I probably always will. And that's the way it's just meant to be, I guess.
I don't think I would have been alive if it wasn't for me going to a psych ward, because I know I just wouldn't be able to cope. I mean, obviously I'd done something bad to get into that psych ward, but the outcome 4 years later has been phenomenal. I mean, I feel like I'm in such a better place. I'm happy. I can actually say I'm happy, and you don't understand how much of a good feeling that is to say when 4 years ago you were sitting in a psych ward crying your eyes out. So, I'm just thankful for the experience in a really fucked up way.
I feel like the typical thing that people would want to hear is that hospital kind of cured me and I'm amazing now and I'm doing so well. But the realisticness of it is that with my diagnosis, it's a roller coaster. 1 minute you're fine and within 30 seconds you could be so low. But now I'm holding down a job, which is, I've been there almost 4 months now, and I couldn't have imagined doing that at all like 6 months ago. I couldn't even probably see past the next hour. But that's another thing I do. I kind of just focus on the hour if I'm struggling and just think, like, just get through this hour and this hour. And also my job keeps me grounded and it gives me structure, whereas before when I wasn't working I didn't have that, so I'd have so much time on my hands to think about things that I just had no structure to my day, whereas now I have that. And also helping other people helps me. I love caring for people, and yeah.
But I'm doing really well now. I'm currently looking at going to Israel next year and spending a whole year away from everybody. In England, that is, I'm going to go out there, do some studying, volunteer work and some stuff like that, which is really exciting because it's something I never really thought I'd be doing. I never really thought I'd be alive to do it. I always thought, I'll have succeeded to have killed myself by then, but thankfully, and thank God, I didn't, and now I have masses to do. And it's kind of annoying. At this stage of my life, at this stage in most people's lives, they've had like 18 years, okay, maybe not 18 years because, when they're like toddlers and babies and up to maybe the age of 11, they don't really think about life in general, but they've had like 7-8 years about where they think about their lives, where they're planning on going with their lives and stuff like that. And for me that only started 3 years ago, because for the however many years before that I was planning on killing myself, so I didn't really think about life in general. And so I feel like I've got a lot to catch up on, which I'm working at. I've got a lot to take, a lot to give, and a lot to live for, which is really strange to hear that coming out of my mouth.